we are now less than 2 hours away from a historic moment in U.S. history. Here's a live look at the Capitol where Supreme Court Judge nominee Brett Kavanaugh and his accuser are set to testify at 10 a.m. Christine Blasey Ford is accusing Kavanaugh of sexual assault, which occurred, she says, decades ago. Other women have also come forward with allegations against Kavanaugh since then. Now the number is at 3. Our Cox Media Washington reporter Dory Scheimer joins us live just blocks away from where that hearing will happen today. So Dory, thank you very much for joining us. First off, this is really a blockbuster moment in Supreme Court history. I was watching GMA earlier. I saw all the cameras set up outside. What is this scene going to look like when things get started at 10 a.m.?
Yeah, well, this is happening just about a block and a half from us right now. And the scene in there is going to be a little less crazy than maybe one would expect, because the committee made a deliberate decision to make it in a smaller hearing room. So there's only going to be about 12 reporters that get seats inside the hearing, limited seats for the public, but we will have cameras inside. We'll get 2 views. One head-on of the witnesses as they're giving their testimony and answering senators' questions, and then we'll get another view of the senators asking those questions. Each senator's 21 of them will get 5 minutes for one round of questioning. The Republicans on the committee really want to move pretty quickly through these hearings and not make it like the Clarence Thomas and Anita Hill hearings, which lasted all day Friday into the night, a long day on Saturday. So they want to keep this pretty short proceedings.
Well, Dory, so you've already seen opening statements from both Kavanaugh and Ford. What was that like, and what do you anticipate today to unfold in that room?
Yeah, we got an early look at those statements, and Brett Kavanaugh, well, his statement is pretty short, only 2 pages. He'll deny the allegations against him, but he will make the admission that there are things about his past, things that he did in high school, that now make him cringe. He'll also tell the committee that these allegations against him will not intimidate him to withdraw his nomination for the Supreme Court. Christine Blasey Ford, the woman accusing him of sexual assault, her statement is much longer, about 8 pages. She goes into detail about the allegations against him, what happened on that night in the early 80s that she says now has stuck with her all these years later, that came out in a marriage counseling session with her husband, because there were still things that she had fears that were left over from that incident. She'll also tell the committee, I think this is interesting, about why it took her so long to come forward, what about his nomination motivated her to finally tell her story publicly, and that time frame that senators are questioning between the time she sent the letter to the ranking member Dianne Feinstein in July, and then why it took so much longer, the end of August, early September, for her name to then be public.
Yeah, this is, I mean, millions of people will be watching this, so this will be like unlike anything we have ever seen. So President Trump, he had one of those wild news conferences last evening. I was watching it, took everybody's questions pretty much. We want to play some sound on what he said about possibly changing his mind after today's hearing, so let's listen to that real quick.
Giving the women a major chance to speak. Now, it's possible I'll hear that and I'll say, hey, I'm changing my mind.
So then he went on to say he can be convinced of anything. So we might see things change. Dory, what happens after this hearing today if things do change?
Yeah, the president's comments in that press conference were really revealing for a number of reasons. One, he tells us he is definitely going to be watching these proceedings today, and that he could be convinced of Christine Blasey Ford's story, and that may make him change his mind about the nomination. Republicans, though, on the committee at this point are standing by him, and they want to move this ahead as quickly as possible, hoping for a vote tomorrow morning in the committee. But it really does all depend on today. And if Republicans who were still on the fence about Kavanaugh are convinced of these allegations, if they believe Christine Blasey Ford's story disqualifies Kavanaugh from the court, we could see this evolve pretty quickly. At this point during the week, we've seen interesting statements from both the Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and the committee chairman Chuck Grassley that indicate that Republicans don't have the votes at this point to confirm Kavanaugh. If that's still the case after today, that's kind of what I'm looking for, to see what language they're using and what comes next. If they continue to move forward at the pace that they're hoping to, or if they give some leeway to Democrats who are hoping to slow the process down.
Dory Scheimer for us live in front of the Capitol. Thank you so much. Wonderful insight there for us this morning. It is going to be interesting. So testimony is set to start again this morning at 10 a.m. Of course, you can watch that hearing live right here on Channel 2. You can also watch the live stream on WSBTV.com. And if you're in your car, of course, listen on the News 95.5 and also AM 750 WSB.